How's it going, guys? Rob Franzese, aka the real life Peter Griffin here, and you're watching Pass the Controller.
Ptc. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gaming Beta Show. Again, it's a working title, man, so we just want to start it off. We all coming here together, man, as true gamers, just talk about our passion, man, which is nothing but video games, video game related topics. I mean, we just want to burst our hearts out to you guys. And along with me right now is...
I'm Brian Lessick, Civic Minded on PSN. If you guys want to add me, one word, Civic Minded. I've been gaming since about 1980 and never stopped, much to the chagrin of my family and lovely wife and child. So back to you, Mark.
Absolutely, man. That's the gaming father right there. Everybody should be encouraged to be like him. And along my right side is
Eric the Smoke Moran. Guys know me better as the Smoke. You can catch me anywhere and everywhere on social media. If you can't find me, go to Google search Eric the Smoke Moran, Eric the Smoke Moran, and you'll find anything and everything of me. I'm on YouTube, the Smoke 007. I'm on Instagram, the Smoke 007. I'm on Twitter, the Smoke 000. I'm on Facebook, the Smoke. I'm on the Eric Moran page. Right now, we're formatted on the Eric Moran page. So, again, guys, thank you all for tuning in. I have been a hardcore gamer, as like Brian said, since like late 70s, early 80s, and beyond. And so for us to be able to do something like this is a dream come true. And we got the master of disaster, the man we call the Knuckles. Introduce yourself, sir.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mark Knuckles Carter. You can know me as McNucks, Redhead, Knucklehead. I don't care what you say. You know, but that's my gamer tag, McNucks. You can catch me on Twitch, McNucks, YouTube, McNucks with 3 X's. It's not porn, trust me.
Wait. So it's not these nuts?
It's not these nuts, but yeah, it's McNucks, though. There you go. So MCKNUX for those that want to spell it out. So definitely follow me on Twitter, Twitch, same name. But I've been gaming. I'm actually the youngest gamer amongst these guys, man. So I'm the baby gamer here.
He's the noob.
I'm the noob here. You know what I mean? I guess I was born into, man, Nintendo. I was born to the Nintendo era, man. So yeah, basically, you know.
Let's start off there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. What was the first console you ever owned?
The first console I ever owned was Sega Genesis. I did not even start off Nintendo. So hence why my love for Sonic. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, my mom bought me Sega Genesis, and I was like, all right, I'll play Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh my god! And I just fell in love, and then my sister bought me Nintendo afterwards.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay, I got you. All right.
See, so yeah.
All right.
See, for me, we're going to even take it further back.
I got here what you
Texas Instruments. When Texas Instruments had freaking
the calculator was it calculator?
Texas Instruments was like the first in video games, and then stepping up was the Atari, the original Atari system. That's when you stepped up your A game. When you had the Texas Instrument game, you thought you were the baddest kid on the block, and then you stepped it up by getting the Atari system, which always, my mom used to say, it's going to mess up the TV. You're hooking it up to the back of the TV. It's going to mess up the TV. And you were just fortunate enough to be able to play it.
Was it Channel 3 or Channel 4?
It was Channel 4 for me.
Channel 4?
Channel 4.
I forgot. That's crazy, man.
Right.
Yeah,
so there were two types of gamers. That was the original console was Channel 3 or Channel 4.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh, so wait. So Civic Minded, man. Just go back to you. What was your, gaming birth, year, or pretty much were you born into what console?
I remember when Atari came out, and it was under $50. $50. Remember that commercial?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Going back, and I remember I wanted an Atari, right? So one day, my dad comes home with this giant box under his arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad was cool as hell, and goes, I got a video game system. And I'm like, you got an Atari? And he goes, I got something better. And I was like, whoa, what? I got an Intellivision. That was 1980, and I remember specifically. And honestly, it was from that moment on, I was always a fringe console guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and when everybody else was on the Atari 2600, I was on Intellivision. When everybody else had the Nintendo Entertainment System, I had a Sega Master System.
Yeah.
When everybody else had a Super Nintendo and Genesis, I had a TurboGrafx 16. And it just goes on, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's always been, when everybody had a Game Boy, I had a Lynx. But The Lynx was pretty.
Well, you
good.
got to remember ColecoVision. ColecoVision I loved.
ColecoVision was cool.
ColecoVision was the bomb.
It's
And
definitely cool.
Vectrex. We're not going to forget about
See, I wish I was born to that era, man. That's crazy.
Vectrex. To have a Vectrex, for those who don't know, Vectrex was like this portable arcade. It was like a little TV. And all you would do is open up the game, you pull out slits, these like see-through color slits. You put it on the screen, and you put in the game, and you play the game, and the screen was your arcade screen. And you would play the game, and they had like Star Trek and all. And those games to me was like God to me. So,
and even though the graphics were just one color, it was just white on black backgrounds. The graphics looked cool, and it ran real fast because they were all vector graphics.
Yep.
So it wasn't like rasterized. It wasn't pixelated graphics. It was like really sharp.
And it had its own joystick.
Cool.
And you could take it anywhere. That was like the first portable game system. So we gave you guys a little bit of a introduction of what our knowledge is as far as gamers go, and how we look back on the gaming systems of back then, and what they are today. So, Mark.
And see, that's interesting. I wish I was born back then too, man. Matter of fact, when you gave me that RetroPie, man, I've seen all those classic systems, and I started getting into it. I'm like, this is actually pretty dope. Like, this is interesting. I want to get into it. Matter of fact, I think I was playing a lot of Vectrex, the games that you downloaded in there, man. I'm like, okay, yeah. I was like, I kind of like it, man. I was like, okay. I wish I was born back in that time, you know what I mean? But alas, my parents wanted me to be a Nintendo baby.
Well, what do you consider like? And this is more of a question for Eric, I guess, because you've been around the longest. Which is my nice way of saying you're the oldest guy here. What would you consider is like the golden age of gaming? Because I have an idea of it, but you might have a better idea.
For me, the golden age of gaming, we're talking about like maybe 84, 83, when Pac-Man became a really big thing, when they had the Pac-Man fever, and Tron was coming out and all, when Tron came out. So to me, like you had that was the first, to me it was like at the height of when gaming was really starting to really take its course, between Pac-Man, because Pac-Man was part of that whole 80s culture. It was a part of this phenomenon. And so from that point on, when the song Pac-Man Fever came out, it was like, okay, yeah. And then from that point on, and then when Tron came out, and you had other video game based movies, but Tron to me was the game that stood out. And I mean, even to this day, like they've done revisions of it. To me, Tron is always going to bring back when I was that kid and all. Pac-Man, for my wife was always saying, out of all the games I can play Miss Pac-Man. And I'm like, oh, fabulous. you can't talk to me. Go in the corner over there. But I got to say around the 83, when it really started getting recognized as something of force to be reckoned with.
It's ironic that you say that, because it was almost immediately following that it crashed hard.
You're talking about Atari or Nintendo?
The whole gaming industry around 84 just completely imploded. Yeah, well, that was when E.T. came out and was distributed right into the landfill, and then was unearthed about 2 or 3 years ago. And that was the basis for the whole Angry Video Game Nerd movie. You guys seen that, by the way?
Yeah, not yet. I got to check it out.
I'm in the credits.
Are you really?
I'm in the credits.
Okay, I got to check it out then.
Watch it again. I'm actually towards the top.
All right, I got to check it out.
Watch the movie. Well, y'all, we'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, that was a harsh time, because I remember it seemed like video games were over. There really was a point of about a year and a half where, some new games were coming out, but it was just not a mainstream thing anymore. You didn't have the Pac-Man Saturday morning cartoon anymore, and you didn't have cool new songs, like Pac-Man Fever and all. There were no, it was almost like a pariah. The industry really took a massive hit, and that's why for me, I always consider everything pre-85 sort of like maybe like the Bronze Age or like the Iron Age of gaming. But for me,
when you say,
the resurgence of the gaming industry really came about with Nintendo. I mean,
Super Nintendo.
Well, and then and that parlays into what I personally think is the golden age of gaming. Really was the 16-bit era, because you had such heavy hitters, and you talk about the console war. People remember it as being a war, but the thing is, those systems, there was a disparity between some of the games. Like, you could buy one title for one system and have it be completely different than a game on the other system. Like the Batman games for Super Nintendo and Genesis, they were vastly different.
Right.
You could play the exact same title
Mhm.
and play it on different systems, and it would be a different
Right,
experience.
yeah,
Mortal
okay.
Kombat was that way with the blood. Remember, that was a
Mhm.
big example.
Oh my God.
And a lot of those different things. And plus, I think, and not to stay too long on this topic, but like for me, it was like, man, you know, so we had the first generation of gaming, and it was okay, you know, but it died. Came back with the Super Nintendo and the Sega Master System, and you know, it was widely received. And the NES is still one of the greatest consoles of all time.
Mhm.
But it seems like what really solidified it into the mainstream really came about like when the 16-bit consoles came out. And I mean, look at some of the most classic games you think of, like. What games came out of that era? I mean, you're talking about Super Mario Brothers.
Exactly.
You're talking about Sonic and Knuckles.
Right.
You're talking about like these big, heavy-hitting, like AAA games.
Mhm.
And people remember back to the wars only because there was so much quality out of two major systems. And then you did have fringe ones. Like I said, I played the TurboGrafx 16, and that was your first, you know, optionally disc-based system that had the CD-ROM.
Mhm.
Man, that just blew everything out of the water for me. So you could pick and choose back then. It's not really like the console wars today. You know, like
That's true.
now, it's the same gaming experience if you play on almost any console. I mean, it may
Right.
play a little bit different, all right, you know, graphically different somehow, but it's not really a console war anymore. And I'm beating a dead horse here. I apologize. I don't bore the audience, but that's the thing I look at now is like, man, it's not because systems today are so different that you have to pick and choose like it was in the 16-bit era. Now they're so similar that it almost feels like, shouldn't they just all be like under one kind of canopy? Like, and that parlays
True.
into the crossplay
Mhm.
thing. I'll let you guys.
But
talk about
here's
that.
the other thing too. Special shout out for the TurboGrafx fans out there, because we've seen a lot
Yes.
of people talk about
Yeah.
TurboGrafx.
Right,
So
right.
good point. But before we even do that, before we even get to that subject, let's talk about the games we all played.
Yeah.
Okay. So whether it's back then or current, whatever, like as far as you guys are concerned, what games are you guys playing currently right now?
I'll go for it.
Yeah, go,
You know
man,
what?
yeah.
For me, currently, right now, like I said, I'm a huge sucker for racing games right now. I love racing games. I love the music behind racing games, man. The soundtrack behind. So right now, for the PlayStation 4, is Need for Speed Payback. I love Need for Speed Payback. Probably
That
one of
game.
the best.
Better than Most Wanted?
Better than Most Wanted.
Whoa!
For some reason, the story gravitated to me, man, because you got three ragtag racers. You got Max, you got Jess, you got Ty. You know, they're there just to you know, play around. They want to, you know, be the best. You know what I mean? Then you got this shark out here, and the shark, the protagonist, is a Latino. It's like a half black, half Latino lady named Lena Navarro, man. And I'll tell you right now, I fell in love with this protagonist, man. Like she's out there like, okay, to stop them, you know what I mean, to fool them, man. And she, matter of fact, this is one of the games that got me actually like looking forward to what she's gonna do next. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, she is off the hook. You know, I like the way she manages her army, you know, of erasers trying to stop you. You know, she gets the cops on you as well too, and all. But she's out there. She's a powerhouse. You know what I mean? She's in for the same thing. She wants the money. You know, as far as racing goes.
So it seems like there's like three styles of like subgenres of racing games. So you have like straight up like arcade racers that are you know, back in the day, like, you know, like a typical like a pole position, just pick up and play, or like Rad Racer, Outrun, games like that. More modern would be maybe like some of the other Need for Speeds.
Yeah.
Then you have like another genre, which is basically almost like a role-playing game style, like, you know, your characters and stuff like that, like some of the other Need for Speeds. And then you have like your simulators. You have like Gran Turismo and Forza and games like that. So where are you in all that?
I'm a strictly an arcade racer. Yeah, I got into. I was trying to get into simulation racing as far as like Gran Turismo and Forza. And I don't know. It just doesn't really affect me that well. You know what I mean? I guess per se. Arcade racing is like, okay, you can do stuff that it's like, it's not realistic, man. The drifting is great in this one. You know, the nitrous, you can boost, you can upgrade your car and all of that. You can spray your car, blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like that was, to me, it's just like, okay, that was me. You know what I mean? I guess the way I grew up was arcade racing. Again, like I say, pole position, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like I just, you know, fell up to, you know, keep going at it. You know what I mean? And Need for Speed, really, I could take it back to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 for the PlayStation, man. And I love Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. I think that was the first Need for Speed that introduced cop chases, I believe. Or as a matter of fact, no, it was the first Hot Pursuit. No, it was the first Hot Pursuit. Yeah, we know. So, but the fact of the matter is that it was just so much fun, just the added element, you know, of including, it's just such a rush, you know what I mean? And Need for Speed had that in me. I've been a huge Need for Speed fan since then, you know what I mean? So, so yeah, I've been on that and just grinding it out. And hopefully I'm just gonna finish it. I'll probably stream for it later, but yeah, hopefully I'll finish the storyline. It's great, man. It's so awesome.
What you got, man?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm not a racing fanatic. Like there was a couple games that came out with back then. I think Twisted Metal was like my be all to end all. I love Twisted Metal because they had characters and you're able to do some damage to some cars and all. But a couple games. Well, I'm actually playing 4 different games at one time. I'm going to just throw a couple out there right now. First off, Vampire. Yes, I got the games even physically to be able. Vampire. Quick synopsis. About a vampire. Guy comes to Vampire. It's RPG. It's slow storyline, but it picks up. You're gradually finding out it's like a lot to explore. Really good game if you're into the RPGs. Other thing that we're going to be probably talking about a lot of because it's been, as you mentioned before, a lot of things that everybody's been talking about is this system right here.
Yep.
Is the Nintendo Switch.
Next week. It's in my house. Next week.
I told these guys when I was picking it up, I picked it up maybe 2 weeks ago, right after E3. Yep. I was kind of like, all right, Smash Bros. Is coming out. I got to get this. And right now I got Bayonetta. I'm picking up Doom, and I'm picking up, what is it? Picking up Doom, and I'm going to probably pick up Street Fighter and probably Wolfenstein.
Do you have Street Fighter 30th anniversary?
That's what I want to get on.
That up too.
Yeah, I want to get on.
You got to get on that.
So, again, this is a multi-task type of system. You can take the joysticks off. You can play. You can have 2 people playing this at the same time, hooking into TV. This is like multi-purpose. You can go away on a trip, play it on a bus, get off the bus, go in your hotel room, hook it into the hotel room, and play it on the big screen, and have 2 people play it at one time. So I highly recommend this. The price has gone down, so you could probably get a good deal on it. Yeah. I paid less than like $270 on this, so you can get a good deal.
I want to know when you're going to work some cardboard into a cosplay.
You know what? I'm thinking about again. They gotta have my size. But I highly recommend Nintendo Switch. And we're gonna be talking about this, but I gotta talk about the elephant in the room because again, boy. Okay. Yeah. Do I need to say any more? The ultimate game that I've been playing that I've loved since the first time is, without a question, God of War. God of War, the newest God of War game. I'm going to tell you right now, been a God of War fan since it first came out on Nintendo, PS3, PS2. Loved the whole entire story. Basically, God of War, the new one, without giving any kind of spoilers or anything, it's basically a new story that's continuing on where the original God of War 3 left off. All I'm going to say is it's one of the most incredible storylines to date, one of the most incredible stories. It has a replay of, for me, the replay is always a big thing with me. When you're playing video games, do I keep video games that I want to go back and play over and over again? Because of the strong storyline, because of the theme of it, because I followed Kratos' whole story from beginning to current, this has everything that you could want in the ultimate game. And the graphics alone is revolutionary. It's stepped up to a whole different level. Violence, the whole nine of everything that you loved about Kratos, for those hardcore God of War fans, everything that you could possibly want. Look, I bought the axe. So you know what that means. For those who know me, they know something else is coming along. I bought the axe. Let's not even talk about the Blades of Chaos.
Can I ask you a question?
It's really though?
You want to ask?
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, man.
God of War, Game of the Year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You heard it first.
Game of the Year.
This is
going to be Game of the Year. Okay? There's no other game to compare. I'm sorry. Storyline, character. Shout out to Christopher Judge for doing an awesome job. I didn't think anyone can do the voice of Kratos since was it TK or TJ? Yeah. The original voice of Kratos. Christopher Judge took it on a whole different level, and he just, every time I hear boy, I'm like this, yo, that's Kratos for me.
Yeah,
so and then looking at Christopher Judge, I'm like, yo, he could play a good Kratos. So yeah, big shout out. Love the game. I highly, if you haven't picked up the game yet, pick it up.
Do it now.
I highly recommend. People are like hitting up our thing right here, and they're like, "Oh, what are you thinking of?" I'm telling you, it's game of the year. Game of the year.
Nice.
And just to let everyone know, people are chiming in and asking questions. We definitely want to answer some of the questions in a short bit. So if you stay tuned, keep tuned in. We're going to answer some of the questions. Even if after we're off the air and you guys have questions, either myself, Mark, or Brian will answer these questions, and then we'll probably throw some of these questions on our next go-around. So with that being said, what about you, Brian?
Yeah.
What's your
What you got,
game?
man?
Yeah.
Man, all right. So I'm not a big I'm not into a lot of AAA games at the moment. I got a lot of stuff in my queue, so don't laugh at me when I tell you the games I'm playing. So
go ahead. What you got?
I'm a big Borderlands fan.
Okay.
I was a little upset we didn't get a big Borderlands announcement at E3.
Yeah.
In fact, the big rumor right now is that they might be done with it. Now,
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't want. I heard that from a source. I don't know if they are a good source. They seemed as though they knew some inside information, but I don't want to believe it because personally, Borderlands is one of my absolute favorite franchises of all time.
Right.
I have all the trophies for all the games so far except for pre-sequel, so I'm grinding through pre-sequel right now. I'm like the only person. I put my status on like public. I'm playing on PS4, by the way. Public availability. I have not matched up with anybody online in that game for like weeks. I am the only person playing it. I see myself. I'm the only person earning trophies in that game. If anybody would like to play Borderlands pre-sequel with me, holler at your boy.
Yeah, please.
Let me know.
This
I'm
dude's
very
a serious
lonely.
trophy hunter. I'm telling you right now, man.
I'm all alone on Pandora. I'm trying to do all this myself, but yeah, I do want the platinum.
I think you do.
'cause,
Yeah.
I love Borderlands. The other game I'm playing is Crossout. You ever play Crossout? Do you even know about
What's
Crossout?
that about? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, explain
Okay,
that.
Crossout. You guys can download this right now. It's a free-to-play game.
What system?
I'm playing it on PS4, but I think it's on PC. I think it's on
Okay.
Xbox Xbox One. Yeah, it's on all the major ones. I think. I don't know if it's on Switch. So fun though. It's such a okay. So you were talking about Twisted Metal earlier.
Right.
This game basically is like a cross between Twisted Metal and Mad Max. So there's almost no story to it. I don't think there is a story to it. You're in this like post-apocalyptic world, and you have to create these cars based on junk you find and battle it out in different arena situations with other gamers.
Now, can you get out the car, or is it just strictly?
No, it is
strictly car.
It is just car combat.
Okay. Oh, car combat. Okay.
And
That's pretty cool. Okay.
the downside is that the game is a little bit pay to play.
Okay.
I have not paid any money into it yet, but I wouldn't mind doing it because I would support these devs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it falls under the category of Warframe for me. I love Warframe.
Well, you turned me on to it.
I think
Yeah,
Warframe
Warframe
is personally the best free-to-play game ever made for any console. I absolutely freaking adore Warframe. I digress, but Crossout is an incredible game. A lot of fun. You're just duking it out with other guys online,
Now-
doing like mini missions.
Now, is that on? Is it on multi-platform?
Yes.
Okay.
Of a crossplay?
No,
Multi-
multi-platform.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
anyone-
PS4, Xbox
So if
One.
anyone out here wants to interested in looking into playing the game,
It hooks you, and I'll tell you what. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, like it starts you off. I mean, the difficulty curve is good because it's not going to just like a lot of these like pay to play games, or pay for like loot boxes and stuff like that. They throw you in the deep end sometimes, and they're like, well, if you want to play for real, you better start shelling out some money.
Yeah.
This one sort of escalates over time based on like how good you are and your win-loss ratio, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
so it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
But now, is the grind exhausting as far as, without
It
being
is to
playing?
the point now where I think I have plateaued before paying any money into it.
Right,
I think
okay.
I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I've committed to this game. It seems like a lot of fun. It has a really great fan base. Even though some dude yelled at me like a lot the other day, like he instant messaged me like
Really?
he yelled
You're
at
talking
me.
about your mom.
I know,
Yes.
yeah. Those people are still out there. But yeah, it was funny. But yeah, so I think I'm at the point now where like I wouldn't mind like tossing some money into it because I think that there's an upside and downside to the whole like loot crate, real money paying into
true.
things. Like it's
I personally hate it. So
I'm not a fan.
I'm 50-50 with it, though, man. I mean, there's some games that he does.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. If I'm a gamer, you want to keep me. You want to be able to keep me coming back, but I don't need to pay. my reward should be when I play the game, I should get rewarded those loot boxes instead of having to come out of my pocket. I already paid $50, $60 for the item. And so for me, like, I thought it was messed up. I thought it was shitty that what they did with Star Wars Battlefront 2. That was a shitty deal. I thought EA really dropped the ball, and I'm one of those people that
But
really
they invented the ball. They did that microtransaction crap with Dead Space 3, and not only did it kill that franchise, but it really was the impetus for all this modern day loot crate stuff.
Yeah, but now they're catching a lot of flack because a lot of game reviewers like ourselves who have been talking about it, and I follow a lot of the game reviewers on different social media. Basically, because of the voice of the gamers, they've expressed their view, and they're not having it. With Anthem coming out, that's another thing. There's been a big thing, and now EA's kind of like backpedaling and everything else. So I think that's interesting. And speaking of E3, we're going to get right into that because I really want to touch base on. Is this the part
where I leave the room?
Is
this when I use the bathroom?
Hell no. Disclaimer for you guys, man. So me and Eric have been to E3 before. We just wait for this guy.
Wait. Let it be known. Let it be known. If it wasn't for this guy,
it wasn't for
this guy, I wouldn't have gone to E3 the prior year. So let's make it a little background. A couple years back, there was a contest for Hyperkin, Hyperkin, and they asked to see who had the top cosplay. I did my M Bison. I didn't think I was going to win. I ended up winning, and they had me come out representing for their company for E3. And this was like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years. Went out to E3, one of the best times I ever had. I went out as M Bison. My experience, Capcom loved me. I was one of the very, very first people to play Resident Evil 7 and experience it. They had me live on the thing. I met some of the creators and the artists behind Street Fighter. The ultimate experience for me was meeting the game developer God himself, Hideo Kojima.
Oh my God!
And to me, I was floored. I mean, that was it. As soon as I got the picture, I sent it to these two. They were the first ones.
It was like 3 in the morning.
I was like, I'm trying to sleep, man. You gonna send me pictures?
For any gamer out there that's especially a Metal Gear Solid fan, basically anything that Kojima has developed or done, to us, he's like the ultimate god. Police Knots. He's like the ultimate god to us. So for me to meet him, I was at a loss for words, and him taking the time to get pictures with me and everything said it all. And that's why I'm representing, Death Stranding. Can't wait for this game. We're gonna talk about that later. But my experience at E3 was I was speechless, and especially because I was able to, before the public, I was one of those few people to be able to experience being on the floor before the public, getting the opportunity to play Star Trek VR game, and had other celebrities playing along with me. That was cool. That was a cool moment. To be able to experience and play on the different games. Ed Boon, another. We're talking about Mortal Kombat Injustice.
Legend.
Again, a lot of people don't know I'm a DC comic book character for DC Comics. I go over to Ed Boon and introduce myself. Ed Boon was like, "Come on in." He invites me to a private session for Injustice 2. Oh my God. Lost my mind and got, and again, guys, I'm telling you, if you've never been to E3, I highly recommend it. Now, with that being said, off the piggyback off of me going to E3, this guy this year, he went there 2 years in a row, last year and this year. So tell everybody your experience with him, because it was basically, I did it the year before him, and then he piggybacked off of me, went last year, and then again this year.
And so talk about it. The thing was that when Smoke went to E3 3 years ago, that pushed me to go. I said I gotta go. The following year was the year that they allowed fans to go to E3, and we says thank you. I mean, there's a video game god out there. Thank you. So I was like, you know what, man, that's a great investment. I might as well go ahead and chuck. Mind you, the tickets for E3 is the first 1,000 tickets is $150. You got to go ahead and grab those tickets, because after the 1,000 tickets are gone, it jumps up to 250. Oh, wow. So is 250 still worth it? Absolutely. So if you don't get
How
1,000
many
tickets.
days does that get you in?
It gets you in the whole
the
3
whole time?
days. Yep,
Wow,
the
that's
whole E3 3 days weekend. So it's
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Unfortunately, you can't go to the conferences. You know, I mean, you got to be industry. You know, you got to be press. But
Well,
it's
now
worth it.
we can get you a press credential because you're on the show.
Hey, I
right?
mean, listen.
You're
I'm,
the-
I'm,
All three of us, actually.
yeah, I'm hoping that we do. Like,
All
so
three of us. Let's keep it real.
we'll send this out to like E3 people. Like, yeah, come on, bring a city. So we'll see how it goes from there. But
Nolan North, we have a chair
Oh my
reserved for you
God.
right here on the show
For
anytime you want to come on.
And same with you, Kojima. Kojima-san.
seriously,
We
yep.
definitely got a spot for you.
Troy
Yo.
Baker, if you're listening. right?
Oh my
Tommy
God.
Tellerico.
Yeah.
No, seriously, dude. Oh my God. But it was so much fun though. Like the last year, E3 was amazing. It just blew my mind. You know.
So
I mean,
here's the thing I have to ask both of you guys
Mhm.
because I'm an outsider to this.
Mhm.
Woe is me, but I've always heard that it's a bit of like, I'm trying to say it nicely, like it's chaotic to say the least. Like if you really have to have a list of what you want to accomplish when you get there. It's not like these smaller cons where you just browse.
Mhm.
You really need to like stand in lines for a long time
Yes.
and commit and be there like at the right time, at the right place, with the right people kind of thing.
All right.
So,
Well, let me
is that
just
how-
say this: as a person who went in via media press,
You got an advantage. Yeah.
I had an advantage.
Right.
So my advantage was to be able to experience being able to meet game designers like the game designers behind Batman, Arkham City, for Rocksteady, to be able to go and experience and be able to get a heads up. So before the general public came in,
Mhm.
I wrote out who I wanted to see, what games I wanted to check out,
Right.
and everything else. So walking around and being able to experience, and then even after that, because of my credentials, I was able. And that was the thing. They had two different lines. You had the line for the media.
Mhm.
Now I don't know if they did it the last 2 years, but for when I went, they had the line for the media.
Yep.
And they would like for example, when they had Mafia 3 come out, they had this big presentation. It was really set up nice. It was set back in New Orleans, and they had a real good setup. But they had a line for the media, and they had the first come, first serve. So after all the media goes in, they would give it the first one, and then anything that was left over, any seats that were left over, then the general public. So if you were in line, you lucked up.
Mhm.
And if you were that like a fan of that game, you would wait until the next group would come in and all, and they would do it at our segment. So each booth was somewhat. Everyone had something different going on.
Did you guys ever like stand in a line for like a super long time and play a game and be like, "Damn, I can't believe I wasted 6 hours."
Yeah.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what? No, I mean for me,
Yeah.
because I knew exactly. Like I said, Resident Evil was the first one. Street Fighter, Star Trek. So basically, for me, because I was there so early and before the public, I got a chance to get the advantage. And of course, Doom.
Mhm.
I had the advantage to be able to experience a lot of the games before the public. I mean, other than media, you know. And so once the public came, and then they did more announcement of other games, I'm like, oh man, I want to see this game. So, but luckily because I was part of the whole media thing, I was able to piggyback off that and jump right in. Plus, a big guy like me, they're like, oh yeah, we know he's the real deal and he's legit and all that shit. So that went a long way. So it's different, I guess, for you because you're part of the public.
Mhm.
What was that experience like for you on the public end?
It have sucked, you know, for me.
He's honest, folks.
It have sucked for me. I mean, last year, like you said, standing in the line waiting for a game to play, and it ended up sucking. That was last year when I played Lawbreaker. Lawbreaker is
Oh my lord!
an arena PvP that I thought I was going to enjoy. You know,
The
what I mean,
premise of that game sounded so promising. It
it
sounded
did.
cool.
It did.
And there was no like from day one, they did not have an online community.
No.
Everybody, it's like the game
It
never got
sucked.
released.
So I went there and I played. We sat down these little bean bags. We waited about at least an hour and some change, you know. And we sat down there in little bean bags and started playing it, man. I mean, we won the match against like the other team. But I was
Yeah.
like,
Wow,
this wasn't fun.
horrible.
I said, this wasn't fun at all. I was
Yeah.
like, what in the world, man? Like I wasted a good chunk of my time. But I was like, you know, it's experience. You know, you get to try out.
And don't feel like your particular experience was unique either, because I think a lot of other people obviously felt the same way.
Yeah,
That game
yeah.
was a major catastrophe. It put that studio right on.
Oh my
they didn't,
God.
They didn't pull up out of that. You know, it
Pretty
was,
much.
It was one and out. So,
Yeah, pretty much. So it was horrible, man. You know,
Yeah.
but and that's what it was. You know, but you know, even just waiting for other games, like again, you're going to, if you're not media or you know a special person like Smoke, you know, you're going to wait.
why are you gonna call him special, man?
No, it's special.
Well, and I say this: have media access.
Yeah,
like
privilege, like Smoke. Here we go.
Oh, damn,
Yeah,
privilege.
you know, so yeah, privilege.
I would say for because we're talking about two different points of view,
Right.
Both from the media aspect and then the everyday kind of guy or girl coming in. We're telling two different perspectives, and then the person that never went that wants to go. These are the perspectives we're giving and telling everyone because, like, for anyone out there who's never gone to E3, like Brian, who wants to go, hearing what we have to say, they're like, okay, or someone who has access to saying, okay, I can do press. What is it like for someone who's done press, who can go on the floor,
Right.
for someone who just wants to buy a ticket and just go,
yeah.
and then for the person that wants to go, but he wants to hear the input, or she wants to hear the input, you have that nice, different vibes and different experiences on it. So okay, so
I don't
let's
get to
talk
talk
about.
I don't get to talk about E3. I don't get to say something about E3.
Well, no, we were going
I'm
to talk about the E3 experience for this year, and especially for you and for the three of us that have seen all the games and all. Mark, you were right there on the floor, but it was an interesting point that you brought up about crossplay. Let's talk about that, especially at E3. Let's talk about that. Let's get right into it. For you, Mark, did they have that going on at E3? And then what were your feeling on what were some of the top games at E3 for you?
I feel like there was light this year than compared to last year. I don't know. I felt like E3 was better last year for me. Just because of the most wanted games that we wanted that particular time. This year they didn't really bring out a lot of the games that was mentioned during the press conference.
You were in the first time you went to E3. You were in the hall when they showed what the hell's the name of the zombie game? Sony Days Gone. Days Gone. Thank you. I couldn't remember the. Yeah, I'm horrible.
Yep.
So you saw that. You saw the unveiling of Uncharted.
Yep.
Right, and some of those bigger. So that's like a lot of and that was the year that Sony, quote unquote, didn't do that great.
Right.
Everybody was like, "Oh, Sony." I was like, I thought
it was
they knocked it out
it was
of the
like,
park.
yeah.
But I don't know.
That's true. And it's the same thing for this year. We got to see the hype of Anthem. Unfortunately, they didn't have it on the floor. We got to see the hype of Last of Us 2. Unfortunately, that wasn't on the floor. It was a lot of games that, man, we wanted to see Ghost of Tsushima. That was on the floor. So it's like, okay, all right, well, what do we have? We had Spider-Man on the floor. Matter of fact, on a tangent, there was I hate what Sony's doing. Sony does a thing where you have to have a ticket. You have to have a slot ticket in order to play a game. Now, they issue these tickets at certain times of day. I just want to warn you. They issue these tickets at certain times of day. Now, it's like a allotment. Let's say the tickets drop at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, the first day of E3. And they have an allotment.
Do you know ahead of time?
Well, you got to download the app. You got to download the PlayStation Experience app. For those that's going to E3, make sure you download the PlayStation Experience app. It's like a blue background with the PlayStation logo, the control icons. So basically, like I said, 12 o'clock, they drop a allotment, let's say of like 60 just per se, 60 tickets. Now, it's 60 tickets compared to thousands and thousands of people that know about it. They are waiting at that moment to say, I want to reserve my ticket.
See, I think that Sony should dispense tickets to the people that have the highest PSN level with the most.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah, good point.
Who are obviously they can prove how great of a fan they are. Who have been around.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Or now that's just my 2 cents.
That's true. So the thing was, the last year E3, when I tried to do that, because there was a lot of games that was out. Forza, I forgot not Forza. It was like Gran Turismo, I forgot. There was like maybe about 5-6 games that was on a ticket arrangement. So I was like, okay, we're gonna wait. And I'm like, okay, here we go, 12 o'clock. And as soon as 12 o'clock hits, I'm pressing reserve. Yep. All of a sudden, the whole app crashes because everybody's on it. What I mean? And then you got to reset the app and all that. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta get it. It's sold out. It's sold out within a minute. Exactly. So I was pissed. But the most I got was a theater showing of somebody that was part of the dev playing the game. Yeah. And you get to sit down, like here, and then you watch people play the game and explain it. So I got like a showing of Spider-Man. I got a showing of Uncharted. You know what I mean? But it's not the same as you want to test out yourself. You know what I mean? Detroit Become Human, we got a chance to look at that as well last year too. And yeah, so I mean,
I was gonna. We'll talk about that.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I'm gonna tell you that.
Go ahead.
You keep going, but I'm gonna tell the story. Because there's something you don't know about that game. Detroit Become Human. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
We'll talk about it.
We'll benchmark that for now. But so like when you, so that's my point when I asked before. Is it like a complete like Mongolian cluster F when like it's everybody's trying to jump in at the same time and everybody wants a ticket to this thing? Is it complete madness? It sounds kind of like it is.
It's true, yo. I'm telling you right now, it's complete madness. Right now, what you got to do is, as far as when you go to E3, you got to set a game plan. You got to set a roadmap to what you want to do. First of all, you got to be like, okay, I'm going to go to Kingdom Hearts 3 when I first step in the door because I know that's going to be a wait time of maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I want to see that, I didn't get to play Kingdom Hearts 3. That was on the show floor as well, too. I didn't get to play it because I want to be surprised myself when I finally get there. That's a day one buy for me, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah. Were you like that with Dragon Ball when that came out? When that was on the floor?
I did play Dragon Ball. I want to try it out myself. I want to try it out to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in certain games, it's like I'm going to get it day one. I'm not going to play because I don't spoil it. You know what I mean? So, basically, but you got to have a roadmap. You got to set a game plan because if you just wing it, you're going to have a horrible time. You know what I mean? You're going to really be.
You're going to have bad time.
Yeah, you're going to be upset. You know what I mean? But you're going to just walk around and you would see like, oh, here's PlayStation, here's the Nintendo booth. Oh, let's see what Nintendo got. Oh, that line is long. Oh, here's Ubisoft. Here's Bethesda. Okay, let's see that. But if you're just gonna walk around and not really experience it unless you like, okay, they announced it. They said it's gonna be playable to show floor. I gotta mark that down.
Game you're most excited for seeing from E3. Let's just get right into it.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
you can pick one. I know we said we were going to pick our top three. I think we're just going to... We're going to pick one? Just pick one. Pick one game you're like, that's the game.
I'm going to throw this to you first. Well, I got those to you because
Do I need to really...
Yeah.
Do I really have to say it? Do you got... Okay, Death Stranding. Straight off the bat, we got the chance to see gameplay. Even though it's still a mystery, and we have the fourth trailer, and they announced Lindsay Wagner, a.k.a. the Bionic Woman, who's going to be in it. I'm excited because I'm a big Kojima fan, as I've said before. I'm dying to see what they bring to the table. I'm hoping it comes out next year because if it does, you guys are going to be like losing it. And for you and me especially, Brian, because we're going to be talking a lot about that, and probably in our upcoming in our next video segment, we'll probably be talking a lot about that. But I got to say it's Death Stranding. For me, it's Death Stranding. I'm excited. I don't care whatever Kojima puts out, I'm going to be like this. Because someone had made a comment about, oh, well, Kojima, I love him, but he does, sometimes. And I'm like, dude, I disagree. He has not disappointed me. Again, Metal Gear Solid 5, finished or not, Kojima's magic was all over it.
Yeah.
When I tried out PT, even though it didn't get a chance to come to fruition, again.
That's a whole other story. You and I did that when we were here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say about myself, man.
PT, I was really hyped on it.
Yeah.
So now with Death Stranding, I'm like, okay, it's worth the wait. I don't care. I like Kojima's style in a sense because he's letting you guys think about it, trying to decipher codes. And as you've already made it clear, there are little hints within the trailers. You have to find and decipher the codes and all. So that's what makes Kojima a standout designer, artist. To me, he's an artist. He's a game artist. He's an artist. To me, he's like the ultimate because he's making you think. He's taking it beyond what gaming is, just not just playing on a controller, but making you think. So
it's definitely messed with you.
Yeah, Death Stranding goes without saying.
Absolutely.
One game.
See, I could be easy and say like, I'm anticipated for Ghost of Tsushima. I can say that. But my biggest anticipation right now, surprisingly, going back old school, is Spyro Reignited Trilogy, man. I'm a huge fan.
I did not expect that.
I'm a huge fan of Spyro. I'm sorry, man. It's
good answer.
I had so much fun with Crash Bandicoot. You guys know that. Watch me. I can't wait for Spyro to come out, man. It's gonna take me back so much. I'm gonna be, on it, man. Like I was back in like middle school days, man. I can't wait. Like seriously, when you play it, I mean the graphics turned around so much. It's beautiful, man. The music, I mean you got still what is it? Steve Copeland from the Police is still doing the same music, I believe. Listen, it was beautiful, man. The gameplay, the controls, everything. It took me back. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Like seriously,
All right, Brian.
So that's a great answer. That's a really cool answer. I know that what I'm supposed to say.
Yep.
I'm supposed to say Last of Us 2. That is a very strong second.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it's going to come out. I hope it comes out next year. I hope. They're usually good about getting games out on time. But that's not my answer. The game I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to preface this by saying I think that everybody's going to say, who won E3? Who won E3, in my opinion, was not Sony. It wasn't Nintendo. It wasn't Microsoft. It was Bethesda.
I knew he was going to say Bethesda.
Bethesda won E3. Doom. Wolfenstein. Fallout. I mean, they were batting 1,000. They hit the grand slam, and the game I'm looking forward to more than any other game right now is Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah.
I will say that, and I was not always a Wolfenstein fan. Like, I didn't live and die by it. I liked the game. It was fun growing up with it. But man, you talk about an IP that over time has evolved into something so exponentially, even as good as it was back in like the PC, the DOS game, way back.
Right.
You look at it now. Wow, is it essentially it's a darn near a perfect game. New Colossus and all those, the newer ones. Yeah, they are so good. They're so fun. And it really does, to me, reinforce the idea that the single-player gaming concept is still very alive and well.
Right.
You can have a solid story. You can have something that doesn't leverage itself strictly upon multiplayer. And you talked about it earlier, the replayability of it. It's such a great game. It's a great story. It's a great challenge. If anybody out there has the Mein Leben trophy from Wolfenstein, congratulations, because you're hardcore. If you can get that trophy, that's awesome. Hit me up and tell me how you did it. I want to find. There are people that have earned that trophy. What if you don't know that?
Yeah, what's the concept of getting that trophy?
Okay, so I can beat the Wolfenstein games on the hardest difficulty. I beat all the modern Wolfenstein games on the hardest difficulty, but the Mein Leben trophy is for beating it on the hardest difficulty without dying. Straight through in one sitting. You can't even save the game.
Really?
You sit there in real time and marathon the entire game through from the beginning to the end without dying. And I'm telling you, I don't know. I want to see a video of a full playthrough, somebody doing it, because I just can't understand. Like, there are people, I've seen people that have earned the trophy.
Yeah.
I want to speak to them. How did you do it? That, to me, that is the hardest trophy of all time.
Really?
I mean, I can, like I said, I can beat those games, but never in like one straight playthrough. But anyway, Youngblood is the upcoming version of Wolfenstein, where it takes place in the 80s, and it's Blazkowicz's twin daughters.
Yep.
And that's cool because, again, it's multiplayer, but it's only 2-player. So I'm one of those guys, like, whole big tangent here, I liked Dead Space 3. A lot of people didn't because the microtransaction thing. I liked it because I liked that story co-op. Just like that game A Way Out. You guys play it?
Yes.
Like, it's cool. Like, it's story-driven, and it's multiplayer, but it's not like versus. It's like it's a true co-op.
Now, see, I got to differ on that. That for me, I like the single player with the option of co-op. In other words, where they give you the option, because there are a few games out there right now that they give you the option to say, okay, you can play it as a single, but you can also play it because there are games like they got the new World War Z coming out,
right? And
they give you the option of playing multiplayer, or where you co-oping, or you're playing it as single. Where basically you have the AI, depending on how well your AI is or how well you're, like the last Titanfall was like that. Titanfall was like that, where you had AI. I'm not a big, because again, I like sometimes being able to play by myself. Now, if I'm playing with you guys, is one thing. Like I was just talking about this earlier, like the Division. I love playing the Division. I love playing solo, but also I love to drop in and drop out,
right?
Where I can have my friends drop in at any time, help me, or I help them, and then they can drop out. To me, those games are awesome when you can have the option of co-oping or drop in and drop out.
Right.
But I don't like it when we're forced to just play multiplayer, where we're forced to play a game where you have to have someone help you. Now, don't get me wrong. Like the game we just talked about where you have two brothers and they're helping out and there's a split screen. I love that. I love the concept, but I wanted to be able to play it also where if I didn't have someone else to play with and I'm by myself, I can have that option playing it by myself and have a really smart AI that responds to what I do. So I differ on that. Also because when you're playing multiplayer, especially if it's not in a private session, you're dealing with a lot of a-holes that just want to go off and and you're like, come on, dude, let's play the game. And you got a lot of idiots that don't want to. They just want to show off. So
different
that
games
turned me off.
Different games too. Like they really attract a different type of community too. Like it really depends. I mean, and I'm not going to praise or trash any gaming communities here, but like there are some where they really are extremely friendly and they help, and it's like it's all in the spirit of good gaming. And to me, that's like really what it's all about. So, Mark, who won E3, man? And you were there, so it's big. You had a unique perspective.
Now, when I looked at all the conferences, right, and just to give it like a little background to it. Now, I was at Smoke had to get at me about it, and I'm holding my ground to it. Now, here's the thing. Now,
I know what he's gonna say.
I looked at Xbox, and those that know that see my review of Xbox conference, and Xbox did put out. Again, Xbox put out 50 games. They put out 18 exclusives. They put out 15 world premieres. Which world premieres did we get? I knew you were gonna do that. We put out 15. So
I'm gonna sip some tea.
And so I love the way Xbox dished it out left and right. Now I know, man. So I like it. Now it's the thing with it, a lot of other people have said that Xbox put out quantity, while PlayStation put out quality. You know what I mean? That's for sure.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How much does it play into your decision that Xbox teased new hardware? Is that a key point, or do you exclude that? Because I always think that that's if you don't show hardware, and if you're not going to show it and you're only going to tease it and say someday it's going to come out, that is not a big reveal.
That's true.
Because we all know something new's coming out. That's like if Honda came out and said, "Hey, we have a big announcement. Next year, we're going to make a brand new car." Ooh. It's like, who saw that come? Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. Okay, so that's cheating it. I'm not bashing Xbox.
Right.
But does that count for you? Like,
it doesn't. Because first of all, I would think that, all right, if you're gonna put it out, put it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I going to get Xbox this year? No, I'm probably not going to get Xbox this year. No, I'm going to stick to Again, I'm a PS fanboy. For those that don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna get an Xbox this year. Like I remember I was talking to you about it.
Right.
And I said, my priority as far as getting systems is first is going to be the Switch, and then next is going to be the VR, PlayStation VR. Because
damn, you're a little late with that.
Yeah, I know.
I was the one who turned the boat on the VR.
Yeah, man, so.
Okay, or at least you.
Yeah.
I think I did let you check it out. Let me just say this, okay? And the reason why I've always been a big supporter of Xbox. I mean, I'm a gearhead. Gears of War and Halo to me.
Right.
Was the Bible for me as far as when it comes to video games. It was the thing that got me, what drew me in with PlayStation. I'm gonna just be upfront. Xbox kind of sold me short when they came out with the Xbox first 360, then they went red eye on us.
Yeah.
And then after the red eye, and I still think it was by design. I'm gonna just say you can agree with me or disagree with me.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. Because when you're downloading some stuff, and all of a sudden your system goes red, come on. And then so I went out, bought me an Xbox, was it 360, and then when the Xbox One, they were like, oh, the Xbox One is going to be the thing, the short shot, and everything else, and I'm like, all right, spent that 4 or 5 day one. I was the day one. I was a day one dude. I was the first one in line at GameStop. Day one dude. Okay, they talked about Dead Rising and all these other great games. I'm like, okay, I bought it. And then like maybe 6 months into it, or at least a year, 6 months to a year, Xbox One X. What the hell, man? What the hell? Yep. So, and then didn't have it again. I'm like, you mother effers. So then I turned around with PlayStation. You got PlayStation 4, it had a good, and then I'm like, okay. Then they came out with PlayStation Pro. PlayStation Pro. Graphics. Yeah. But here's the thing. They're going to have all these like first run games coming out for the system. Andromeda. Well, we want to talk. We're going to Andromeda. That was the pitch. Horizon. I'm like, okay. Plus, the games that you're playing currently on the PlayStation 4 will upgrade on the PlayStation Pro. Okay. So I got me a PlayStation Pro. Got Mass Effect, Horizon. Totally took it up to a whole new level. And still kept the PlayStation 4. So I have both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro.
Nice.
Okay.
So the differentiators now, like you're saying, I mean, between the different consoles, they're so similar in so many ways. But some of the big differences, like you touched on, like PSVR for me is such an underappreciated technological.
Oh my God!
Yeah, now I see it.
It's so good.
Let me just say this.
And I thought personally, Microsoft. You remember when they debuted the Illuma Room thing?
Yes.
And they ditched it. They said we're not going to do it. They just kind of showed it as a.
Well, this
this
is where I had my problem with Xbox. Xbox has great ideas, but you can't keep running Halo and Gears. You've got to come up with some new ideas. Now, let me tell you what really sold me in wanting to get PlayStation Pro and a VR. Resident Evil 7. When I went to E3 and tried Resident Evil 7, hands down, I was like, it felt like you were there. I told people, all the people everywhere, it's like you are there in the freaking house, man. I was done. I had this guy come over. I think I had you come over. I had a couple of my friends come over just to try it.
Right.
If you're in the freaking house, you can't get anywhere around. You're in the VR, and then I got all these other games. The Batman experience. I'm telling you, especially horror games, it's the true deal. Look, the sample game, and I don't mean to stay on it too long. VR sample game. They had the heist. This game like the British heist. It was like, and I'm smoking a cigar. Literally, I'm like, and you see the smoke coming out of the, and I'm like, I'm like, yo, it blew my mind. If you don't, and if you have not, I highly recommend get a PS4 Pro and the VR. Get Resident Evil 7. Get the demo, and you'll see what the experience is like. I'm telling you, I'm not just saying it just to say it. I'm not working for PlayStation. I'm telling you, as a gamer, it blew me away.
It reminds me a lot of when the N64 came out and people played GoldenEye for the first time with a Rumble Pack. And I know it sounds weird because like younger gamers not going to relate to this as much, but they broke the fourth wall so well. That little feature, and the game was so fluid and graphically. I mean, we look back, it's a little dated now, but it was mind blowing for its time. And that's the same feeling that I have about PlayStation VR. Man, it is so good. It's a lot of fun. If for no other reason, try it out somewhere. Like that's the thing I think that's going to put them under if they don't push it well enough, is that they send these demo units of consoles into GameStops and the late Toys R Us. Sorry.
Rest in peace, man.
Yeah, rest in peace. So you can go into these places and demo consoles and stuff, but they never really have anything for like VR. And that's something that I think a lot of people, you're not going to know how good it is until you try it. It's so good, and it's not like the Virtual Boy. It's much better.
And I want to also give a special, because you guys threw in a little extra contender with your E3. Also, Days Gone, and I don't care what y'all say. Days Gone is this. I can't wait to play that. Days Gone.
Absolutely.
I was like,
but there's a lot of games. There's been a lot of games in the last couple of E3s that got me so hyped, and then I felt like, okay, I guess we're just going to wait a little bit longer, and I think it's forgivable for games like Final Fantasy VII, because that is one of my favorite games of all time. I will literally wait an eternity for that game. I really will. That remake.
That's true.
But then there were other games, like when they unveiled Watch Dogs a couple of years ago, the first one, and it didn't live up to the hype. That was one thing.
It didn't.
Even going back farther than that, Aliens Colonial Marines, which I played that game, and I liked it. A buddy of mine, we played it a little bit. We weren't in love with it, but it was fun. It was kind of, original voice actors and some of it. It was good, but it wasn't like E3 demo good.
Right.
But even more recently, like you look at games like Dead Island 2. I love Dead Island. I know a lot of people can't stand that game because of control issues, and it was buggy when they were first released. But I played them first time through on PS3, and then more recently on PS4. Played them all through again and re-platinumed them all. I like those games, but they debuted those at E3, and said, coming soon. And I still am that guy who, on my little GameStop queue for pre-orders, I still have Dead Island 2 pre-ordered, and it still has that date of December 31st of this year. So you know it's never coming out. We're not going to see that game, and they'll replay this someday and show me that I was wrong. And it'll come out, and it'll be a great game.
Probably the designers are like, oh, we got Doubter. Okay, we're going to come out with it.
Yeah, just because Ryan said so.
Moving along, we're going to talk about pre-orders.
Do we want to answer some questions? Do we have some questions?
We got a lot of questions.
let's.
Man.
All right, so Mark, you go ahead,
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to hit 2 more segments. But before that, we're going to answer some questions.
Absolutely. So we got a bunch of questions. And again, guys, thank you so much for doing the questions. And if you do have any questions right now, go ahead and comment on the chat. If we don't get to it in this show, we'll definitely get to it after the show. And who knows, we may get to it on the next show. We'll see what happens. But we got one question from Leonel Rojas, and shout out to you, Lee. And he says, do you think that the Nintendo Switch is going to change the course of gaming? Do you reckon that because of the success, it's bound to encourage competitors to come out with consoles that doubles as a portable? That's a really good question, man. I like that one.
I think that can be stated factually at this point, is that yes, it already has influenced the gaming. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I see like peripherals for tablets and phones that already mimic that sort of like technology, and they're trying to merge those two worlds. I think it's still in its infancy, but
well, think about it.
I fell off with Nintendo probably after the N64.
Yeah.
Because that's really when the technology diverged. I mean, you already had a serious disc-based market. Like everything was CD-ROM then, and they were already moving sort of into like the DVD-ROM era with the PS2. But the guys at Nintendo, they wanted to stay with solid-state cartridge-based gaming, and I liked the N64. But for me, that was like when they started to say, that was when they became very very stubborn. I think they were not going to change. They were begrudgingly they adopted disc technology with the GameCube, but that's the lowest question.
No, because Metal Gear, but that was my draw.
Sure, but now I think like Nintendo, they're starting to appeal to like
but
gamers again.
You don't think the Wii kind of made everyone jump really on Nintendo, revive Nintendo more?
It helped, but they went okay. So you have like a core, maybe I don't say demographic, but like the core gamers to me. It seemed for at least during the Wii era. I'm using air quotes a lot tonight. It's very atypical of me. I don't really normally do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seems like the core gamers now, are like your preteens through like our age, older guys. But the Wii, and I'm not trying to make a joke, and I'm not trying to disparage the Wii because it was aggressive in its own way. But frankly, to me, it came off more as a toy than a video game system.
Okay.
And your demographic, the people that played the Wii were kids that were like 12 and younger, and senior citizens because they didn't have these buttons.
Because the games that they started coming out towards the end, they were getting serious.
I know people are going to chime in. They're going to say, I played the Wii. Of course, because you guys are gamers here, so you probably had a bunch of different systems. But I wouldn't believe for a single second that anybody was like, I was strictly the Wii. All those other consoles could suck it. No. I'm not putting it down, but for what it was brave of them to more or less like abandon their core demographic. Like for years, it was guys like us who we grew up on, Super Mario Brothers and Super Metroid, and we played, Chrono Trigger, and we played GoldenEye, and then all of a sudden they took a whole other turn and said, okay, now we're going to do like Wii Sports and Wii Fitness, and then. Okay, so they had like some good Zelda games and things, and I think that and I don't want to go down the whole thing about it because the question was about the Switch, but yeah, I think they're kind of like drifting back into the fast lane now. It's nice, and handheld technology has always been Nintendo's thing anyway. They've always been good with it, so I think it's good. Now I don't want to say I had doubts about the Switch, but I had worries because early on they were talking about like performance issues when you have it in the dock versus when it's out. They had issues with screen scratching. They had issues with, warping of the screen or the console or something. I don't know the details.
Well, I mean, from my experience playing it,
it's something about what you have.
You actually own it. So
I own it. For me, and I'm still learning it. You have Wi-Fi, has built Wi-Fi, so you can go to the Nintendo store. You can order games on here, and it has enough space memory space where you can download games on here. I'm pretty sure they're going to upgrade it within like the software itself. Like I told you before, you can take off a controller, and you can play like a controller like this.
How does that feel?
It feels good, and because I've heard people say, well, if you got big hands, it's going to be kind of hard.
Right.
Actually, I got big hands, and it's easy. I mean, playing Bayonetta. I've been playing Bayonetta for the last week, and all I'm doing is like and for gamers, I guess for gamers, if you have a sense of control, and they also have like a gamer style pad thing where you can just put the controllers on to make it feel like you're playing an actual joystick game. So, and then also again, it's where you can hook it up to the charger. I have a screen protector on here, so I don't have to worry about it getting scratched. If you are going to get this, I highly recommend you get a screen protector. Yeah. So when you're putting it on the slot to charge, you won't have to worry about scratching the screen. All you have to do is get a USB, hook it into your TV. It's that simple, and you can play it from here, play it on the console, and then play it on your TV. It plays on the TV screen. It'll play at 1080p. On here, it's 720. So the graphics are nice and clean. It's just right. The battery holds up for a couple hours, and also, yeah, it's definitely worth it. And the price is not going to kill your pockets. If you find a good deal, the games, because it's been out for a year, you're going to have some games that are used. You pay maybe $20, $30, depending on, which is not bad. Yeah. The newer games like Doom, Wolfenstein, you're gonna pay close to the price, but the graphics and everything, the reviews have been outstanding. Doom and Wolfenstein automatically almost platform perfect, like as if you're playing a PS4. The only difference is graphics here and there. It gets a little blurry and stuff like that. So
I've seen something on the screen here, and I gotta give a shout out. J. Rowan Williams, you just posted something that I was thinking. Does anybody remember the links? I mentioned earlier I had a Lynx when everybody else had the Game Boy, but when I first saw the design for the Switch with the dual, the buttons flanking the side, that looks like the Lynx. Remember, it had the center screen. And
but it had a smaller screen. In fact,
it was much smaller.
Screen.
Yeah, man, it was.
It's a much smaller screen.
I think it was only like 2 inches diagonal. Yeah, it was really tiny, but it looked good.
But I think what sold me besides the games, I think what sells me on this is that because you could do so much with this, and the people at Nintendo said, hey, why don't we take a screen where we can also hook it up to the TV, and all you do is slide it on and slide out. People want things easy. They don't want things hard. If you make things hard with a whole bunch of moving parts, people are going to be like, oh, I don't know how to do it. But here it's like you're taking off the thing and plug it in and
Sony, I hate to like throw a monkey wrench and be like a Sony sycophant here, but they did really sort of delve into that technology just before Nintendo did, because they did do that, PS4 second screen option you could do like on a tablet or a Vita.
Yeah, right. I was going to say that too.
So,
but the problem is they didn't stick by it. They didn't stick by the merch.
Well, it's hard if you're talking about like if people are going to do like multiplayer gaming over like a network that's maybe not that fast, and you want second screen. A lot of that bandwidth is dedicated just to streaming the game. It's not even allocated to like the multiplayer connectivity. So a lot of people couldn't play it. Like if you're going to do that with
it takes a lot.
Yeah, it does. It's so the technology is really good, but it's only as good as your infrastructure. If you have a weak Wi-Fi or whatever, it's not going to be the same experience. Who wants to play? If you're in that close of proximity to your own PS4, even within their own network or whatever, why would you not?
It's true. Right. Yeah.
So let's take on another question so we can.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll take one more
question, by the way. Whose question was that about the Switch again?
That was Leo Rojas. So
cool.
Shout out to Leo.
Thank you.
All right,
absolutely,
Leo.
man.
We're going to take one more question for this show because we got 2 more segments we want to hit.
Yeah, we're going to take another question. Actually, it's also from Leo, man. So again, thank you so much, man.
We have one audience member. That's cool.
He says,
goes out to you, buddy.
Well, no, actually, we got a couple. No, we got a couple. No, let's jump with someone else.
You know what? Yeah. Well, this is a good question from Leo as well too. Now, this actually, compares to the future of gaming. He says, if you've seen the movie Ready Player One, which all of us have seen it, right?
I have not. I had not seen it.
Oh, see, I got to jump on to the next one.
I am reading the book.
You're reading the book.
So I want to read the book first. Yeah.
So let's
Okay.
Let's say that because I want another person.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
save that. We'll save that.
Sorry,
Leo.
I
We'll
ruined everything, man.
Yeah. Okay.
My bad. You can blame
So-
me for that one. Was there going to be a spoiler alert?
No, actually, you know what? Not
Can you guys,
really.
Can you guys
But-
answer his question without?
Not really. Well, let's throw it out there and see what he says, see what he thinks. Because pretty much you see if you read Ready Player One, if you read that, you see the concept.
I'm reading.
You're
in
reading
process,
it. Okay,
yeah,
so we're gonna skip that
we're gonna
question.
skip
So
that.
All right.
my bad, Leo. Yeah, we're gonna wait till he
Sorry,
finishes.
Because what we want to do is be able to get more than one person's question. We want to get at least 1 or 2 questions in because there's a lot to cover.
Yeah,
So
it's a simple
okay,
question right here. So again, this is from Leo. Thank you again, Leo. So he says, what would you say is the best movie based on a video game, Brian? I know you have a lot, man, to say.
I have the answer.
He says, they're notorious for being bad, but I say either Mortal Kombat or Silent Hill. Perhaps even Street Fighter in a campy way. What would you say is the best video game based movie?
You guys go first, but I believe I have the answer.
Well, for me, I gotta say I agree with you, Leo. I say Mortal Kombat.
Those are good.
I love Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
to me.
Kombat is certainly. I mean, if you didn't know the one I'm going to pick, I would probably say that's probably the right answer.
Right.
But there are, yeah.
But you know what? Now with the recent Tomb Raider movie, I loved it, man.
I heard it was good.
It stuck to the game. It really stuck to the game. They got, and I love you, Angelina Jolie. I mean, if you're watching this, I love you.
She is definitely.
But I'm sorry, but Alicia Vikander, I think that's where she is Lara Croft.
Because when people think of Angelina Jolie, they're like, "Wow,
Yo,
she
but-
has some hot
Yeah, but
candor."
but
You check out the candor.
but Alicia, she's the Lara Croft incarnate, man. Like she really did a good job. If you have not seen the new Tomb Raider movie yet, then check it out. I mean, really, I was hoping for we got pretty much fed on Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider, and it's like, oh yeah, whatever, it's nice, man. But this is the real Tomb Raider that we've all been waiting for, and I think that I have to push Mortal Kombat to the side and actually give Tomb Raider the lift as the best video game movie right now. It's accurate, but that's about it. I'll say the Tomb Raider.
All right.
I'm gonna let you go because I'm a movie fiasco, but it's just that
go ahead.
it's really I had to really.
Now this guy's
wanna-
answer is interesting. I gotta say, go ahead.
You know my answer?
I don't know your answer, but I know it's interesting.
I want to
though.
hear it. I want to hear
Super Mario Brothers. No, I'm kidding. It's,
I was about to say.
it is definitely not. I watched Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Don't you say Double
for the
Dragon.
first time. No, I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie for the first time just last week. Believe it or not, I had never seen it because I knew it was going to be awful.
Yeah.
I have some favorite video game movies that aren't based on a specific game, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is incredible.
Absolutely.
There are others. I would also say, Wreck-It Ralph, certainly, Tron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of games that are related, movies that are related to games, but not directly based off of a game per se. It's more of like video game culture. Even like there's an indie film out there right now. It's called Going for Goldeneye, and it's like has anybody seen Going for Goldeneye? I'm probably the only one, but it is amazingly funny. It came out this year, and it's almost like the movie Spinal Tap.
Okay.
But it's like a fake documentary about these guys who are in a Goldeneye tournament.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you borrow it. It's awesome.
I gotta see this.
But I digress again. I'm gonna watch the screen because I want to see if any likes pop up when I mention this. But this is the hands down. This is the best video game movie, and people forget about it. But when I say it, I want to see if I get some likes.
Oh boy.
The answer is Final Fantasy Advent.
Children. Oh my God! Yo, I forgot about that.
Yes.
I forgot.
I knew it was a guy. I said,
I
damn,
forgot.
and I'm like, overseas Japanese. Wait, I know it was a game.
forgot.
No,
Yup. It's perfect.
Advent Children.
I wanted that to be a game.
Yeah, you're lying. Oh my
But
God.
that's why everybody hounds Square Enix about like remake the game.
Yeah.
You can make it look just like that
Yep.
movie. You can make
Yeah, that's true.
Advent Children is not only so good, and not only is it hands down my favorite, but it's so damn loyal. It's ridiculously loyal to the plot. Like it's spot on. I have seen criticisms of that movie, and the only thing I've ever seen that anybody has ever said they didn't like was the fact that the summon materia was the wrong color.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah,
It's the only thing.
Yeah.
But everybody else, the voice acting is good. The animation is phenomenal. The orchestral music, it's amazing. the plot in and of itself is good enough that they could build another chapter to Final Fantasy VII just based on that.
Tifa's fight scene. I love Tifa's
oh,
fight scene.
man.
Oh my god! In that church. Oh my god.
I would say the only thing.
Oh, dude.
The only thing I don't like is the only piece of dialogue I don't like is that shilly shally dilly dally.
Dude,
Oh my lord! I'm like,
everybody put that as a meme too, man. I was like, go ahead.
Stop with that. But yo, it brings a tear to my eye in the final scene there, where I'm not no spoiler, but
you're talking about the end. Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, you might as well, man.
The feels, especially at the end when the door opens.
Yeah,
and I'm just sitting there like, wow, man.
Do you know? When I went to. I told a quick story.
Go ahead.
Final Fantasy. So, the year is what? 1997, I think, when Final Fantasy came out. I'm going just off the top of my head. You guys can Google it and check me, but I think it was 97. I pre-ordered that game. I was so looking forward to it. And, I pre-ordered it from GameStop. I didn't have enough money to pick it up on day one because I'm like, whatever, poor college kid. And I finally get the money and I go and I'm going to pick it up. And the guy is passing the game across to me and on the counter, and it's like, oh, like in slow motion. I'm like, thank God, I'm finally getting this game. And he goes, you're not going to believe the part where they kill Aerith.
Oh, mother.
GameStop employee looked at me and he goes, oh man, it's so sad when they kill Aerith.
You should be fired.
I was like, I just looked at him like, I talked to this guy.
I'm like, dude, why would you say that?
I talked to this dude probably like at least once a week. I'm like, I can't wait for this game. I can't wait to play it. Can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. And the day I pick it up, he said that. I will never forget. I just looked at him. I really contemplated real, actual violence. I was like, I can't really. And I thought for a second he might be messing with me, but he looked at me like right in the eye and he goes,
it was dead serious about it too. I know, man.
I was like, thanks.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm not picking this game up. Well, you got to pick the game up.
That's why, I'm so anti-spoiler. That's why even when we're talking about Advent Children, I know that it's been out for kind of decades now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to spoil it. Go see that movie. But,
absolutely.
But, I mean, to me, that's the best video game movie.
Yeah. Yep.
But I'm going to jump in now, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to, and then we're going to jump into the next segment. Straight up and down, without a question. It follows, not only does it follow the movies, but also the animated series, the Batman Arkham series, all the Arkham series games, because you got Kevin Conroy, automatically the voice of Batman.
That's a good one, yeah.
Kevin Conroy, and the whole Arkham series. I'm talking about every Arkham game that's come out, and even hopefully, quote unquote, the Superman / Justice League Rocksteady game what we all gonna put out for next year.
That's reach.
But let's just say this goes without saying. Even though I wasn't crazy about the last one that came out, the ending, how they ended it, but still, flawless game. It only got better they listened to the fans, and it only got better. Each Arkham game that came out, even the one that the Arkham Origins. It's, to me, even though it was it was the same people, a little bit different company, but again, flawless. To me, that was one of the most flawless series. Flawless next to oh God, now my mind's blank. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Next to, we just talked about the Nathan Drake series.
Oh,
Uncharted.
Yep.
To me, that is the most flawless series that's out to this day, and it still stands up from the very first Arkham game to the most current one. It holds, and in the last Arkham game, it's so many options. So I have to say, and then you're seeing it live, and I mean, even when Batman v Superman came out, they gave you the skins for that. They gave you the Keaton skin. They gave you the classic skin. They gave you the Batman Beyond skin. And I'm sitting there like, as a hardcore Batman fan, I'm like, so
good
it was ultimate.
Good video game based movies are so laughably bad. For every one good one that you get at least 50 bad ones. And that's why when people say, what video game do you wish they'd make into a movie? My answer is none. Stop doing it.
Right now redoing Mortal Kombat. They're about to do
it. You already have video games are a platform that by its very definition are immersive. You're controlling what's going on to a large degree. And you can explore the depth of storylines that nowadays are so immensely emotional and complex. I mean, Uncharted is like a buddy film. It's almost a love story. It's a father and son story.
Yeah, true.
You have that. You have games like Last of Us. You feel for these characters. You have Mass Effect. You have games that can contain a narrative now that you would never want to see truncated into a movie.
And we're hoping and we're praying and we're very much praying the Metal Gear Solid
Buck Roberts. I was gonna say that.
Metal Gear Solid movie is going to be everything that the director. Everything is going to be everything that we always wanted.
Yep.
In a live action film.
I'm okay with this happening, but what I would love to see from a Metal Gear Solid movie would be something. Do you remember? You would have to be almost like surreal in its storytelling. I can tell you. Did you ever see the movie Domino?
Yes.
Not yet.
Did you ever see Domino?
Not yet.
Domino in the way it's edited and cut, and how, or even like a Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
Yeah.
How everything is very like, it's somewhat rough in some places and refined in others, and it's almost ethereal and surreal, and it's a little bit non-linear. Like, that's almost how you would have to tell a Metal Gear story. If you want it to have a beginning, middle, and end, and be totally cohesive and totally intelligible, and have it stripped down and dumbed down for, and with all due respect, the American audience, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to be Hollywoodized.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a Michael Bay version of,
you got that right.
I like, do it justice, do it right. I mean, could it be good? Yeah, I'll give anything a chance. I really will. But I really don't want to see something that's just like completely half-assed. Like, really make it so that the fans, I don't want to see. Anyway, I think you get my
yeah, that's
point.
true. Now, you know what? Actually, jumping on your point, because I don't want to see it just pretty much just rushed or whatever. These past two E3s, I went to both Kojima-san's panel with Jordan Bach Roberts, and I showed you I posted it. Like I said, you can go check it out as well too. Part 1 was last year. Part 2 was this year. Part 1, a notable line that Kojima-san gave to Bach Roberts. He says, "Listen, if you're going to do the movie, betray your audience." And you had to hear the audience like, "What? Oh my God! Like, don't do that." Kojima's like, "Betray your audience." We don't know what that means, man. We don't know what betraying your audience means, but it's a blessing from Kojima that says, "Listen, do not follow what I've done. Betray your audience."
I find it highly dubious that the same people that complained about cutscenes being too long in Metal Gear Solid 4 are the same people that would advocate for a Metal Gear movie.
True, yeah.
Like,
that's
if
true.
you're really not down with the plot, you're gonna miss the point. It is story driven. Like, we're gonna get to this topic eventually, but I'm gonna just throw it out there because we're gonna go and say what our favorite game of the last year was or whatever. And this game didn't come out within the last year, but one of the most emotionally vested experiences I had in a game, like, I loved Wolfenstein, New Colossus. I thought it was great,
Right,
and
agreed.
that story was amazing. But the story that like really hit me and like really affected me was Life is Strange.
Yes.
Life is Strange.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Is I don't know if I fit the dynamic or the demographic or the target audience of a game like Life is Strange, but I am unapologetically in love with that series. It is so incredibly well written. I am blown away.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
And I know, Smoke, you're a story-driven guy too. That's why I get frantic phone calls going, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm on the road driving home from work." "Turn your car around and go to GameStop. You gotta play Detroit Become Human."
Yes.
And he was on the phone. This is how this went. I'm gonna filibuster for a moment.
Go ahead.
"Yo, Brian, what's up, man? Yo, check this out." I didn't even say hello. I didn't even pick up the phone. He was just talking, assuming I picked up the phone. Yo, check it out. Yo, I'm playing Detroit. Yo, Become Human. Check this. Yo, this thing is off the hook. Yo, check it. Yo, the story, dude. Yo, first off, you're in Detroit and you're becoming human. And yo, the John is just the dopest. Yo, go get the. And by the time I didn't even say hello or hi, how's the wife? I'm at the counter.
Jumpsuit.
I'm at GameStop. I'm talking to the guy going, "Yeah, I'll take Detroit, Become Human." Because when certain people have opinions that I could take or leave, they could be right or wrong. But this guy has never steered me wrong in a video game review, and I have never heard somebody so like, you have never called me with a game recommendation like that. Like you have recommended some games, but you basically were like, don't even hang up until you have it in your hand. You have to get it. Oh man.
Let me just say this, and I mean, between the acting, the storyline, because some people are not fans of games that are narrative in the sense where you're watching the game, it's like you're watching a movie and you jump in and all. This game hit on Detroit Become Human, hit on so many social issues. It's like a mirror. It's like a mirror of what's going on today. It hit on so many issues, and it tugged at my emotional cords for so many moments. Again, no spoilers. I'm not giving any spoilers, but
it came at the right time.
It came at the right time. They got the right actors to play it. You know, in talking to some of the actors who played in the game after I played it the first time, the story, the script, they had over 200 to 300 pages of script they wrote for this game because there were so many ways you could. And I never played a game like this where you have so many different choices and it had so many different variations that you could go in so many different directions. The theme of the story, if you're conscious of what's going on in the world today and you're playing this game, it will hit your emotional, and especially, again, because we haven't talked about it since I didn't know if you played it or not.
Well, I wanted to say
but it hit me on so many emotional moments, and I'm like, you know, they give you choices, and either you're going to go one path, or you're going another path, or you can go and again, the game is immersed in storyline. You got 3 different stories, and eventually they all intertwine, and in some cases they don't, depending on how you play the game. I've never played a game like this before. And then you're going to have some people out there, the naysayers, like, well, you know, it wasn't shoot 'em up, bang, bang, and it wasn't this and that. And again, if you're intelligent enough to know what's going on in the world today, and you're playing this game, it will make you think.
Let me ask you this. And then it reverts back to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
It reverts back to kind of what I was saying. Like, if they ever made a Detroit Become Human movie, it wouldn't work.
Right.
Because at the core of every video game is the fact that you're making a decision about something.
Yes.
Like, even when stories lead you to one finite outcome, you know, that's, you know, like, I remember it was odd that a lot of people got different endings to, like, Metroid. Depending on how well you played, and then Chrono Trigger had all kinds of different endings based on how well you did. Nowadays, how many different endings are there to Detroit Become Human?
It's over 200, over
crazy.
200 or more.
So adapting that into like a movie would destroy the very essence of the game.
Nothing like playing or watching a movie and where you make the choices and you determine the outcome of that movie, and that's what makes it so different than you go into a movie and either some people will say it was predictable or I didn't expect it. It had a twist, and some people were happy with it. But no, you're playing a game which is almost like a movie, and you're making the choice of what happens in the outcome. So you're sitting there like, damn, I wish, oh, crap. Oh, what if I went back? If I could have gone back in time and if I made a different choice. And it might be something you did in the very beginning of the story. Here you're 5-6 hours into the story because of that one choice you made affected your, and I'm like, holy crap. So
because that's what I'm saying. Like usually those Telltale games, those choices games with the choice that you make usually tells about yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like where there's some choices that now see, it's,
we're gonna have to talk about that.
Because I can say like this, and I got the Detroit Become Human, but I didn't touch it yet.
Oh man,
you have what?
I didn't touch it yet. I did not put it in yet.
What game?
Detroit Become Human.
Oh, Detroit.
So I didn't put it in yet.
You can't be around us when we talk.
I feel you. Because I'm like, okay, I know those, I'm trying to, get my mood up to play it. Because the same thing like with Life is Strange, and I was telling you about this. Remember I said when the first Life is Strange, I was like,
did you save her?
I was like, did you save her? And it was really simple.
I was all like,
now, with a lot of people that have played Life is Strange,
that means something to you.
And I will ask you the same thing. If you play Life is Strange, did you save her?
But here's what I do. You mentioned about the Telltale games. I always play the Telltale games through twice. First of all, because they're an easy platinum. But the reason I play them through twice is the first time I play through with decisions I would make.
Right.
You know, like, this is how I try to be very honest with myself. Like, what would I really, really do? And if you really immerse yourself and really commit yourself to a game like that, you do learn things about yourself. And sometimes the right answers, as in real life, are not always very easy or transparent and predictable. So the first time I play through, I play like me. And I'm generally happy with what I say and do, and sometimes I'm surprised, but whatever. I kind of play it without regret. The second time I play it through, I play like an asshole. I'm like, I'm killing everybody. I don't care about you. I don't care about these zombies come. It's every man for himself. I don't care about the little girl. I don't care about you. I don't care about you or you or you. And I play with every bad decision. I backtalk everybody. Whoever the point of authority is, I'm like, screw you.
What if I was a jerk?
Yeah, what if I was a jerk? And I like to think I'm not that way in real life, but I do it in the games. And it is amazing sometimes the differences you get. And it's amazing sometimes the similarities you get.
Yeah.
That's what's scary, is sometimes when you're a jerk and you realize, like, that kind of was the right answer. Like, you're kind of rewarded for bad behavior sometimes, like in real life. And then it's when that whole guilt element comes in. You could do a whole psychological analysis of some of those games, but they're fun. But anyway, I got way off track. But Life is Strange is a great game. It's heavily story-based. It's basically no fail. But when it's over, you're going to cry.
You will. I did.
There's absolutely no way you can walk away emotionally unaffected. And to this day, there are a couple games that I can say, I don't know that they were the best games ever, but they affected me emotionally, and there is none that tops Life is Strange.
Because I never played Life is Strange, I gotta say Detroit affected me that way.
And
Detroit, and Brian, if you played the game, you'll know why I'm saying that, because there were moments that what's going on today. There are moments that it really affected me, and I'm sitting there like, wow, and I'm making these choices and decisions. So when you play, you'll see what I mean. It affected me on an emotional tip. And then, going back and seeing some of the storylines, how other people play. Like, I made maybe one or two bad turns or something. Not so much choices, decisions, but a bad turn where I'm like, damn. But, I got to say, it affected me on emotional.
And now, you really have to commit to living with decisions you make.
Yeah.
Like, there's always that temptation, especially in Life is Strange, to say, maybe I'll just delete my save and start over.
True. No, you gotta roll through it. You gotta roll through it.
You don't get the luxury of a second guess. But do we need to hug it out? It's like the video game View. It's like, do we need to hug it out? Do we have an emotional moment?
The question is, did you punch the pro? No, it's not. No.
Okay, so now we're gonna jump right into pre-order.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Ryan, you want to head that up and talk about the pre-order?
Oh, man, what do I have pre-order?
Well, no, explain to the audience what the pre-order, when we talk about pre-order.
Okay, so there are certain games and certain franchises that for me, are a day one purchase. And I'm sorry, I'm not talking directly to the camera. I'm checking my phone here because I want to talk about pre-orders here for a moment. But certain games, and I don't do this for every game that comes out, but certain games I think really warrant pre-ordering. And I'm going to tell you my list right now. We're just going to go right down
first game. I did
it.
the same thing too.
Can you see it? People are going to be like, I see his account number.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if you can see this. It's not very good. But anyway, okay, so here are my pre-orders right now at GameStop.
I seen the first game. I did the same thing.
Soul Calibur 6.
Yes.
Collector's Edition.
Oh, really?
There is a collect.
What? Hold on.
Oh, wait. Look at.
Oh. There is a collector's. Oh my God. I gotta call GameStop.
You heard it first here, folks. I did both versions. See, I did that one. I pre-ordered the regular version.
Yeah.
And then I go back to GameStop and the guy's like, "Yo, they got the collector's, John." I'm like, "Okay." So we got Soul Calibur 5. Or 6. Sorry, what are we? 6. I said 5.
6. Yep.
Soul Calibur 6.
Yep.
Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot. That is a PSVR title. Dead Island 2. We talked about that. That's never coming out. Wolfenstein Youngblood and Doom Eternal, because Doom, I like me some Doom. I do. And that's why I said Bethesda 1E3, because I literally went to GameStop like the next day and I'm like, just pre-order all the Bethesda stuff. The guy's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, just all that Bethesda stuff.
All right,
So-
I'm going to jump on mine.
Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Spider-Man.
Absolutely, same thing.
Goes without saying.
Are you getting the one with the statue?
No, I'm one of these people that believe in it. Like the last
I'm
statue
looking
I got.
around your basement. Don't tell me.
The last
that you
statue.
don't like
No. There's certain games that stand out. Spider-Man is so. First off, I can't wait to play a Spider-Man game that can be almost like an Arkham style game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need to get a statue for every kind of game. The last statue I got was an Injustice 2 statue, and I ended up giving that away. And that was I gave that away.
Not to me.
Well,
You've been very generous over the years.
But hey, look, I've had purchases. We'll talk about that. But Spider-Man, Doom,
Mm-hmm.
Wolf, Gears 5, Red Dead Redemption, RE2, Days Gone, Crackdown 3. These are just games I have on review. I've had I think 10 games on reserve. Yeah, and I go to a mom and pop.
No Anthem?
Well, I'm still kind of on the cusp on that. I'm kind of again. You guys at Anthem better get your shit together.
Did you say Days Gone? Or is that
Days Gone? Yeah,
okay.
I said Days Gone. And I know we got a ways to wait on it. But I got to wait on the reserve. But and Death Stranding. It goes without saying, Death Stranding. But again, I'm waiting for the reserve.
What do you think the probability is of that game coming out on PS4?
Oh, it's very highly.
Do you think it's going to be pushed to the next generation?
It's going to be both for both.
Yeah, it's going to
PS4 Pro
don't
and
say that because then I got to buy the freaking thing twice.
PS4 Pro and PS4 Pro and PS5. So, if we're lucky, Kojima-san is good to us, we'll get it next year.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on, but you know how his trailers are. So, and he's not in a rush because they're not rushing him. Konami's not rushing him now. So, again, Kojima-san, this is going to be a question we eventually will have on our next segment. Is a game worth waiting for when you have to wait for a long development, or is it worth rushing it and getting it out? But we'll talk about that in another segment.
Mm-hmm.
You're a gamer.
Man, mine's just mixed with both of you guys as well, because it's Soul Calibur 6, got Days Gone, Spider-Man.
Nice.
If I'm looking at, I'm looking at Kingdom Hearts 3. That's definitely going to be in reserve as well too. I'm definitely going to grab, since I'm grabbing the Switch next week. Talking about Switch games for reserve, man. Super Mario Party, matter of fact, because
Super correct.
I gotta get a Mario Party, man, just because Smash, absolutely, because if you listen, it's everybody.
Are you Team Ridley?
No, I ain't Team Ridley, man. They gotta calm Ridley down, man. For me to.
I didn't know. I'm a big Metroid fan.
Yeah, but they made Ridley so OP, man.
There's such a clamoring for who knew that there was this undercurrent within the gaming industry that was waiting for Ridley. I was pretty astounded. Yeah,
so with those and you know what? Just I'm just waiting for until they put out the dates. Since it's to be announced for The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, I'll probably go ahead and reserve that as well too. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When are we going to get another Infamous game? I know I'm partial.
I forgot you were a big fan.
I was kind of hoping we would, like Sucker Punch only does like one game at a time kind of thing, because it's just. And it's cool because they take their time and it's almost like Rockstar. Like Rockstar's like that too. Like they don't put out a lot, but what you get is quality.
Yeah. But then that goes back to the subject.
But like Naughty Dog is that same way. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all like very monogamous and they're very methodical, and that's why we don't mind waiting for those games.
Right.
Like if like the same thing with Red Dead, the same kind of thing. It's like, we'll wait. I would love there to be another Manhunt game. That's on the way. Let's talk about a wish list. Yeah.
Well, we could probably talk about it on the next segment.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you got. Yeah. Because we've been on here now. Fans have been following us almost going on 2 hours.
So, I told you. Yeah.
So we're gonna have our final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts. We're gonna start with the Make America Game Again guy.
Make America Game.
And I love his T-shirt. All right.
For
so many reasons.
So if you guys are still tuned in, the reference of the T-shirt is from a little-known video game on the NES in an arcade. So it was Bionic Commando. And during the last scene, Bionic Joe jumps off this ledge and has one shot at firing a bazooka round right through the window of his vehicle where Adolf Hitler is sitting. And if you successfully kill him, the end screen is a close-up of his head exploding.
I always thought that was scanners. Every time I see that thing, it's scanners.
I will let you guys do the math with regard to the shirt and regard to the hat. I wear my politics on my sleeve. I'm sorry, but I just call me a big Bionic Commando fan. Final thought is this. Right now, one of the big issues within the gaming industry is the topic of cross-play between different platforms. And I've been saying this for a long time. I would not say I'm a fanboy. Maybe I am a fanboy. Who knows? I don't even know really what it means. But right now, I will say, for now and for a very long time, I have been a big Sony fan. I like what they're about. I like their business paradigm. They are not perfect. They make some bad decisions, but they make a lot of good, bold ones. And they are a solid company, and they support their consoles and their fans extremely well. I like the fact that they broaden their technologies and that they look after different IPs and develop new things and take chances, and that's awesome. A couple years ago, when they were talking about, when the PS4 comes out, the big issue of DRM came out and how to game share and things like that, and Sony was on the forefront saying, sharing a game is easy. We're not going to have like a code that you have to like have the other person. We can just hand them a copy of the game and say, go ahead and we'll play, which is very good, and it sounds great on paper, and they followed through with it for the most part, I would say, until quite recently when the issue of crossplay came up. Now, what this means would be that, if you own Madden on Xbox and Smoke owns it on Switch and I own it on PlayStation, we can all play together if there's cross-play.
Right.
And why should there not be? To me, the ultimate planned obsolescence aspect of the gaming industry is the fact that the systems are so close, they're identical, okay? Like, anybody that's going out there saying like, oh man, Xbox blows Sony out of the water with its technology, no, it doesn't. And nobody's winning the game, the game, to coin a phrase. Nobody's winning it based on hardware technology. They're winning based on like IPs and their fan service and like their online communities, things like that. Some of the differentiators. But my beef with Xbox was never that they were so different or they were doing things different than Sony or anything. My problem was they're doing it exactly the same. Nintendo, for better or worse, at least they have the balls to do things differently. And right now you have other gaming companies like Atari and Intellivision. Remember Mattel, the Intellivision we talked about earlier? We have Google. You have all these other kind of fringe companies now and companies from the past. Even Sega was talking about re-entering the console ring.
I hope so.
What does this mean? So to me, it reminds me of a dissertation I attended back in college when they talked about there's never room for number 4. There's really never room for number 3. The comparison was Coke, Pepsi, and RC Cola. Okay? Coke and Pepsi are so closely resembling each other, and that could be your Microsoft and Sony, and Nintendo now is like your RC Cola. They can survive extremely well being number 3 because they are self-aware enough to understand that's their spot right now. And maybe it won't be that way forever. Maybe they can overtake the other two, but for right now, their business strategy is to stay number 3. But the point of all this is the real segregation between the different communities is based on this idea that you and I can't play the game together unless you have the same system. And developers, I think, are getting tired of it to a degree because they still make money based on that principle. But can you imagine the monetization of, say, like, hey, you can have whatever console you want, similar to what PC gamers do. We can all play together. It's only a matter of servers. It's only a matter of infrastructure. It's only a matter of bureaucracy and red tape, and it has to go away. And right now, the big holdup is Sony. Talking to you, Sony, because Microsoft and Nintendo have already said, fine, y'all want to play together, that's great. You can still buy our consoles. You can play our unique games, our exclusives and things. But then if you want to play, Rocket League together, if you want to play Call of Duty, if you want to play these multiplayer games and go head-to-head and compete and do things like that, sure, we'll support it, no problem. Sony is still, begrudgingly, they're the ones that are the holdouts in all this. They won't address the issue. And nowadays, like you're talking about games like Fortnite that has massive communities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand. It's probably my ignorance why I don't understand why it's not an easy thing to do. I must be missing something, but it's pissed me off for a long time. Ever since the dawn of the online gaming era for consoles. I mean, I know PC had it for years, but it's been this way since the PS3. And it has not stopped yet.
Right.
PS3, Xbox 360, you get what I'm saying? Like the last generation of gaming. And it needs to end. We need to put this thing aside. I don't have anything against Xbox gamers. I personally do not own an Xbox. I don't crap on Xbox because it's kind of the same. There's nothing that says like one's so much better than the other. No, they're kind of the same thing. It's just a matter of preference and you know, some of the smaller choices. But anyway, that's my closing statement. I think it needs to be done. I think if anybody out there feels strongly about it, you need to start petitioning Sony about it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to let it be known. These companies will crumble to popular demand if it's made known. You have to get out there and you have to like express that, yes, this is something we want. It helps everybody in the long run. And if it doesn't, if one company all of a sudden, you know, starts tanking and the other one starts exploding, and I guess we knew who was better all along. But at this point, I don't even foresee that happening. I think there's a definite survivability with a conjoined, you know, togetherness aspect to the whole online community. So anyway, that's what I got. Back to you.
Nice.
All right, give your 2 cents.
Well, first thing is everybody can see how I'm donned in, you know, in Knuckles outfit too, man. So I want to give a chance to Jim Carrey. You know, hopefully he does a good Dr. Robotnik in the upcoming Sonic movie, but that's to the side, man. I'm hoping that he really does his thing. You know, I love Jim Carrey, so I'm hoping, please, Jim, do your best, man. But my 2 cents for me is blessed be esports, man. Seriously, blessed be esports for the fact that now we have something that we can relate to as video game geeks and nerds to watch instead of, for those that are watching that's not into, let's say, football or NBA Finals or the Super Bowl or, you know, World Cup or whatever, they have something that they can actually look forward to, actually participate in, to get good at. Man, we have so many video games that's considered esports. Right now, currently, I'm watching the Overwatch esports league, man, and it's wonderful. Go ahead and rep your favorite city, especially Philadelphia Fusion. They're awesome. Seriously, I was surprised. I mean, we have a great hometown that's, you know, really good in Overwatch. But again, we see a lot of games now like Street Fighter. Street Fighter been like the cusp for esports. You know, I mean, just, you know, getting up there. We see on ESPN. I mean, I was shocked when the first time I seen on ESPN, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is a recognition that you know, video games are becoming. It's athletic. You know, I mean, it's athletic to the mind. It's training your mind. It's training your fingers. I mean, you're pretty much exerting yourself. You're putting out energy, you know. So when people say that, you know, oh man, you're how old are you? And you play video games? Well, first of all, it's not the fact that we're so old or you know, we're this young or we're immature or whatever, man. It's all exercise mentally, physically. So again, if you think about it, be happy that you have a hobby, that you have a recreation that's pretty much being influenced by the world now. It's being input. The culture is pretty much surrounding it and welcoming it so well that we can be comfortable doing our own thing. So I encourage you guys, when you get a chance, don't sit around, play video games. Just pretty much pick up a controller. If you want to practice or whatever you feel like you're good at, practice, because you never know when that time you pretty much can shine. You know, seriously, I've been in the esports limelight as well. You know, and it's fun. It's a rush. You get the you know, the fans just looking at you to appreciate, you know, the entertainment that you give them. It's amazing. Trust me. So go ahead, get out there, play video games. Don't worry about what the past generation, what the older generation says. Right now, this is the year 2018, man. Things has been changing, things have been evolving, and video games is at the top of the limit too, man. So let's take advantage of that too. So, Smoke, what you got, man?
All right, my final thoughts. First off, I want to say a special shout out and congratulations to my boy Tommy Tellerico, Electronic Playground. Video Games Music Live. He is now the president of television. I had to give him a special shout out because I've been friends with him for a long time, and I love seeing my friends do well. So special shout out to him. As far as video games is concerned, my final thoughts as someone who was as a veteran who was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, I have to say that video games overall is a great and very therapeutic in the sense that when you're stressed, when you're going through emotional times, video games is the avenue to go to when if you're not into drinking or drugs or anything like that. This is the avenue where basically it can take you away from a lot of stress. It's a stress reliever. Whether you're playing sports games, RPGs, action games, horror games, anything that's video game related is very therapeutic. Lately we've been seeing that video gaming is addicting.
Mental health disorder.
Yeah. And video game, and I think that's a bunch of crap. It's just something that people want to come up with, just to give an excuse. For someone who basically has and is diagnosed, is playing video games for the longest, and even now, when I go through stressful moments and I feel angst and what have you, I go to my video games, I go to different storylines and play different stories, become different characters, takes me away from everything, and it's relief stress. When I'm angry about something, and I want to get out in the field and shoot, this, because I can't go to a shooting range, this is the best next thing. So it's a big stress reliever. So for all my friends out there who have stress, who has gone through post-traumatic stress, who has anxiety issues, depression, go to playing video games because it's very therapeutic and it'll help you get through a lot of things that you can't normally deal with on a daily, and you'll feel like you made a difference. And I know it may sound a little unorthodox, but trust me when I say this is very therapeutic. So those are my final thoughts. I want to thank my boy Mark Knuckles Carter,
Yes.
Brian Lessick, and
There we go.
myself
Thank you.
being able to be on the show. This is our first beta show. We went over the mark of 2 hours. We're going to condense it the next time around. We just had a lot to say. We want to thank everyone who tuned in.
Thank you.
For those people,
Thanks for all the good questions.
yeah, so we're gonna try to expand on this. If you have any suggestions for our show in the upcoming future, we're gonna do this once a month, and then we're gonna expand on the technology and everything else. And any kind of suggestions. I have a couple friends out there who checking out the show who is already hitting me up. So with that being said, we're gonna tune out, and I'm gonna say my famous mortal words: peace and here, grease y'all.